I often get asked, how do you get the color into the different things on an action, whether it's the serial number or the manufacturer's name? And I'm going to show you the process. It's pretty simple, so let's go get it done. And here's what we're talking about. We're talking about how do we get engraving that looks like this? And why did I do this? Well, it's pretty simple. I wanted to be able to read my serial numbers without having to squint in the sun every time. And I just happened to pick colors that stood out. This is definitely not a revolutionary process. There are a lot of videos out there on how to do this, but I'm just going to show you real quick on this action that I have. Now this one had a different color in it, and I went ahead and I've taken just some regular isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush, and I've just scrubbed all of it out. It does take a little bit of elbow grease and a couple tries, but after probably 10 minutes of applying alcohol, toothbrush, it does get 99% of it out, and it's going to be fine for our purposes. So we're just going to assume that you have a clean serial number to work with. I'm just going to take a little bit of rubbing alcohol, isopropyl, and we're just going to get everything nice and clean. And the other thing that I like to do, just to make sure that, especially because we're dealing with small engraving, right? So we're dealing with small engraving, I'm just going to take a blower. And we are going to just make sure that it is nice and dry in there. Now, I use Posca markers. These are an enamel art marker. My wife happens to be an artist and uses these, so I just steal them out of her pile, but you can readily get them on Amazon. In fact, I'll just put a link down below. I've given this a bunch of shakes ahead of time to get it loosened up. And we want to use the minimal amount of space. We don't want to get paint everywhere. We don't want it dripping all over the place. So we just want to get it right in the area of the serial number. Okay, so we're just going to do this. And with these markers, you push in on the tip to help give a little bit more paint. And I'm just going to kind of dab it in there with the paint marker. And you can see that it starts coming out a little heavier. And we just want to make sure that we're getting everything nice and pushed in there. So I'm not pushing any more paint out. I just want to kind of rub it along and make sure it's getting into the engraving, and that's it. While we are waiting for the other side to dry, I'm going to come over here on the manufacturer side. This happens to be my Borden Black Knight, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. And it's really just about making sure you get everything nice and filled in to the engraving. I don't want to say, I mean, I guess the best word is you want to flood it, but you just don't want it running everywhere on your action, obviously. This stuff is like a die-chem marker, if you've ever used that. A little bit goes a long way. I like to say, once you start cleaning this off, it's sort of like it's like a wine stain on a white rug. You're just going to keep wiping and wiping, and you'll see in a second. So you don't want to get it everywhere. You just want to make sure that it's in the engraving that you are trying to do. And you can usually feel it underneath with the tip. And if you do miss something, you can always go back. So just, you know, don't feel overly pressured. But again, we just have a really nice amount right here, and we're just going to leave it like that. While we are drying, if you feel like maybe you got too much on there, like I'm pretty happy with how much I have on here, but if you felt like you got a little bit much, you can certainly dab it, and you'll see you'll pull off a bunch. Just make sure you're not smearing it everywhere is really all I can tell you. I'll show you on this side too. But same thing over here. If I wanted to, I could dab this a little bit, and it'll make it dry just a little bit faster. I got a little bit of it off there. I'm not too worried. The idea is that we want to let it get mostly dry because we still want it to be wet enough that we can easily clean it off, but then have what's in the grooves not easily come out. So it's been about 5 minutes. We'll come back and check. We are right about at the 10-minute mark, and what I'm looking for is I want it to be where, well, that's from before, but if I touch it, nothing's coming off. Okay, so it's pretty dry. If I was to push hard, I could smear it if I wanted to. And now what I'm going to do is take a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on a towel here, and we're just going to, and you can see we're wiping here. Okay, and then we're going to take a new part of this cloth. Okay, and again, we're just trying not to make a huge mess with this. So that's why I'm just doing it in short little bursts here. Okay, and we want to rub what was there without taking off anything else. The other thing that you might notice is if you have an action that's got any kind of, I don't want to say pitting or anything, but if you have anything in the action metal that is not perfectly smooth, it's going to take on the paint, so you might have to work just a little bit harder to clean up some area. I don't really have anything to show you on this one, but okay, and we blow on it, and then I can still see there's just a little bit of paint down here, and so I'm making an edge. So I don't want to get into the numbers any more than I have to at this point. So I'm just cleaning up around it. Okay. So I'm cleaning above it. And then I'll probably give it one more. I don't want to soak it. I'm just going to use what's here already. And I'm just going to give it one more little pass over the top here. And that's just going to get off any residual that's in the area. Okay. So I'm really happy with that. You can see right there, it just shows up real nice and bright. And this is a darker blue. I didn't want something super obnoxious. I just wanted it blue enough that I could read it without it, jumping out. So just really nice right there. We're on to the other side, and it looks like it's dried up enough. I'm not really worried about it at this point. Now this is a lot more paint. I am just going to tell you, when you're using this much paint, the first couple passes at least, you need to be pretty gentle with it so you're not smearing paint everywhere. See how much paint came off? Okay, so we're just taking some really nice gentle passes. Nothing aggressive, nothing where I'm going to be slinging paint everywhere. And I do wear gloves for this because it can get messy. The other thing is, if you do this and you're like, well, it just doesn't look vibrant enough, or maybe you accidentally washed out some of the color of it with the alcohol, you can always just go ahead and put more paint over it. And don't bother cleaning this out if you're going to use the same color, but you could just, put more paint in again. It's not a big deal. So now I'm just cleaning around. And it might take being in the light, a couple different ways to see everything. There we go. I like that. It's upside down, but you get the idea there, so you can see. Now, I'm going to tell you, this blue I like a lot better than the blue I used on the other action I have. So I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to show you how you can just go over the existing if it's a close color, and without taking too much time wiping it out. But before I do that, let me show you the last thing that I do. So the alcohol is obviously going to sort of give this metal a washed out, faded look. And so what I like to do is I'm going to take another paper towel. I'm going to put just a little bit of, this is just my bottle with ioso oil on it, just a little bit of oil, and I'm just going to clean it up. Okay, and that just, let's be honest, it just makes it look much prettier. So you can see over here, and we're just going to do the same thing. I've still got plenty of oil left on this, and I'm just going to clean up my action. And the ioso oil actually will help clean the metal also that is exposed. And then before I put this back in the stock, I will clean up the bottom of the action because I don't want oil down here. But that is when I'm done. But I'm going to take, for the bottom part, I am going to take rubbing alcohol and clean out all the oil that's on the bottom here so that it's nice and dry against my bedding. I do not want oil down there, but I want to clean everything up with oil up here, and then I'll go back afterwards and do that before I put it in. So let me pull out my other gun and I'm going to show you how I can go over the top. Here is my second action, and you can see this one has a very light blue in it, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So I'm going to go ahead and just come in over the blue because, again, I don't really care. It's blue. I don't need to worry about it. That other one that I just replaced was a green, and I really did not like it. It was kind of a weird chartreuse. So we're going to let this dry. I'm going to flip it over. We're going to fill in the other side, and then I'll come back. Once again, we have waited about 10 minutes. And I've checked this. We're nice and dry. And we're just going to do the same thing. So we just want to wipe away. You can see there it's good. I'll go to the back side of this. And that one cleaned up real quickly. We just want to do the same thing. So it's just, this isn't difficult. Like it was, I'm not going to lie. The first time I did it, I was a little nervous. But yeah, cleaned up great. Let me just get one more paper towel for a final cleanup here. And then what I'll do is I'm going to put these back together, and you can see kind of what it looks like when it's all together on a gun. Yeah, that's good. That cleaned up nice. Yeah, looks like everything filled in. I'm just going to clean around the edges just a little bit more right here. And if you miss some, maybe there's something I just can't see right now, you don't have to worry because you can always take it off later. So there we go. We've got this nice and wiped down with a little bit of alcohol again. We'll come back to this, or not alcohol, oil. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean up the bottom of these. This one stayed pretty dry, but I'm still going to come in anywhere that is, kind of just above the bedding line. I'm going to take it with alcohol. I'm going to put these together and I'll show you what it looks like. And here is what it looks like when it's all done and put together. But you can see here on a complete rifle, it just really stands out nice. You could pick something a little bit brighter if you wanted, obviously, but I like the subtleness of this. But it's enough that I can read it, I can differentiate it, and then let me flip these over and I'm going to show you what the other side looks like. But I mean, just really clean. Same thing over on this side, just really nice and clean. Just gives it a really nice look. Anyway, that is something you can do to spruce up whatever it is, anything that's got engraving, honestly. But man, I just really love how that looks. So with that, I hope everybody gets to go out, have some fun shooting. Have a good one. We will talk later.